Okay. So basically it has an objective function. Either we will be either doing a maximization or minimizing an objective function which basically represents the performance measures of a system. Okay, so we have either maximize or minimize a function f of x. Okay, where this x is a vector of variables on which we have to take a decisions. Okay, so basically x is a vector of variables x1 x2 xn. Okay, so these basically they are decision variables. That means the optimal values of these variables have to be found out such that this function is either minimum or maximum. These are decision variables. Okay, and also we will have all this. It is subjected to some constraints. Okay, so we write it as gj of x is less than or equal to 0 or less than or equal to some constant, where j is the number of constraints. There are j constraints. Okay, and these constraints are also functions of these which are functions of the decision variables. Okay, so depending upon the complexity of this function, okay, so we can use variety of methods to uh, arrive at the optimal value of the objective function and the corresponding optimal decision variables. Okay, so the first one, if this function, the objective function is differentiable, that means I can do a differentiation of this function. Okay, so then we can go for calculus based techniques. Okay, where we can use the calculus to find out the optimal values. So now let us start with finding out so the minimization or the optimization using calculus. No, but please. Optimization using calculus. So first let us start optimization with only single variable. That means I am minimize or maximize f of x where x is a single variable. That means it is not a vector, it's a scalar. So the function f of x is a function of only one variable. Okay, so how do we do the optimization using calculus? Hello? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So how do we go about doing a optimization of a single variable using calculus?
Differentiate with respect to that variable.
Okay, you have to differentiate with respect to the variable. Okay, and so basically, let us say I plot the variation of this function f of x x as a function of this x, this is a function of f of x. Okay, so let us say you have, I am considering my optimization in this range a to b. Okay, so let us say at what all points, let us say this is x1, this is x2, this is x3, x4 and x5. Okay, so at what points we have the minimum?
x1, x3 and x5.
X1, x3 and x5 we have the minimum, and we have maximum at x2 and let us see. Let us see, this is x4. Okay, at x3 and x2 and x4 you have the maximum. Okay, so how do we define a local minimum? We can say that the function f of x will have a local minimum if it has the lowest value in that neighborhood. That means if f of x1 minus delta x is less than f of x1, okay, and which is greater than f at x1 plus delta x. This is how we define the local minimum. So that means f function is said to be the is said to have a local minimum at x1 at any point x, okay, if it has the least value in its neighborhood. Okay, so this is what we call it as the local minimum.
So this is local maximum.
x1.
Yes, the signs will be inverted on both the sides.
No, x1 is local minimum, no?
The signs in this equation less than and greater than will be inverted on both the sides.
No, f of yes, okay. It's sorry. It should be greater than and it should be less than. Okay, this is for local minimum. Similarly, you will have a local maximum. Okay, at those places. Okay, so what will be the first derivative of f of x at these local minimas and local maximas?
0.
So f at the df by dx will be 0, okay, at both local minima as well as local maximum. Okay, is it by just knowing the by just satisfying this equation that df by dx is equals to 0, can we say that it has a maximum or minimum? Is it a necessary condition or is it a sufficient condition?
Necessary.
This one.
Necessary condition.
It is necessary condition. That means if at all there is a local minima or local maxima, we know that the first derivative will be 0. But if the first derivative is 0, we cannot say, okay, with perfectly that it will be either local minima or local maxima. So that's why this condition we call it as the necessary condition. Okay, but if I want to particularly say that it is local minima or it is local maxima, what should we do?
Check concavity of that curve.
Check.
Double differentiate the concavity of that curve.
Okay, you have to see whether you have to go for another d square f by dx square. Okay, you will do the second derivative, and depending upon the value of this. If it is less than 0, what can we say? At that point, if the second derivative is less than 0, will it be maximum or minimum? Hello?
Maximum.
It will be maximum. Okay, local maximum. If it is greater than 0, it will be local minimum. Okay, but how are you sure that whether this local minimum is the global minimum or the global maximum? How can we prove? See, here we know that x1, x3 and x5 are local minimas, but which is the global minimum? Hello?
So we have to put the values and compare.
That every time you cannot do, no. You will get maximum and any idea? Do you know what is convex function? What is concave function? Hello? Why this time I think there is no response from anybody. I don't know. There is no interaction at all, except 1 or 2 people responding once in a while. I don't know. How can we say that this whatever we get, the local minima is the global minima or the global maxima? So for that we need to investigate further. We should know what is the nature of the objective function. Okay, if it has too many ups and downs, we cannot say whether with certainty that whatever we have got is a local minima or the local maxima. Okay, so for that we need to know about the nature of the function. Okay, so this can be found out by knowing the nature of the function, whether the function is concave or convex. Okay, so let us first take what is a convex function. Does anybody know what is convex function? Tripathi?
No, sir.
No. A function is said to be a convex function. Let us say I have a function. Let us say I have a function f of x. I plot this function between two extreme values x1 and x2. Okay, let us say this is my function. Okay, so in this range between x1 and x2, a function is said to be convex if you take any arbitrary points, 2 points on this in this range. Okay, let us say I take this and this. Okay, if I join a if I join these 2 points by a line, if I join these 2 points, let us say A and B, okay, if the line joining these 2 points is above the function, okay, and this condition is satisfied for any arbitrary points taken in this range, then the function is said to be convex. Okay, so that means the line joining a function is said to be convex, strictly convex, if the line joining any 2 points if the line joining any 2 points on the function is above the function itself. Okay, so you may take, let us say, one more point CD. Okay, so this line CD will be above this function. Okay, so like this you can take any or any point, okay, within this range. Okay, so such a function is called a mathematically, how can we write this equation? If I want to represent this, okay, how can we represent this mathematically? Hmm. Let us say I take this point and I take this point, or I may take this and I may take this. So let this arbitrary point be x here. Okay, what is the value of x in terms of x1 and x2? How can we write x1 and x in terms of, can we write x as alpha times x1 plus 1 minus alpha times x2, where 0 is less than x, less than alpha, less than 1? I can represent any arbitrary point in this range between x1 and x2 as alpha times x1 plus 1 minus alpha times x2, where alpha lies between 0 and 1. Okay, so what is the value of the function at this point x? How much is that? Hello?
fx
F what?
fx
Alpha times x1 plus 1 minus alpha times x2, isn't it? Okay. What is the value of the function on this straight line? Means what is the value of the point which is the line connecting these 2 points, okay, at this x? What is the value of value here? In terms of f of x1 and f of x2, how much is that? So let me write like this. I think I'm little. I take these 2 points. Okay, this one. This is f of alpha times what is this value? How much is that?
So m times x minus x1 plus f of x1, where m is equal to f of x1 minus f of x2 upon x1 minus x2.
In terms of, I want this in terms of alpha f of x1 and f of x2.
So alpha fx1 plus 1 minus alpha fx2.
Exactly. Okay. So the value on this will be equal to alpha times f of x1 plus 1 minus alpha times f of x2. Okay. So mathematically, how can I write this now? This, that it should be above if the if the what is that, the function is strictly convex, what can we say about these two values?
First expression is less than the second expression.
That means f of alpha times x1 plus 1 minus alpha times x2 should be less than alpha times f of x1 plus 1 minus alpha times f of x2. Okay, so a function is said to be strictly convex, okay, if the function value is less than the value of the corresponding at the straight line joining these 2 points. Okay, so is called a strictly convex function. If I replace this by less than or equal to, so then we say simply convex. Okay. What can we say about now the second derivative for such type of functions? What will be the value of d square f by dx square? For a convex function,
Positive.
it is always be positive because df by dx will always be increasing. Let us say if I plot df by dx here, it is like this, it is here, it is increasing, it is increasing, and it is, so d square f by dx square will always be positive, isn't it? For a convex function, for a strictly convex function, the second derivative will always be greater than 0. If the, then how can I how many minimas I can have for such a function?
Single.
One.
There will be only one. Okay, so which is the global minima. Okay, for such a function, for a convex function, for a strictly convex function, there will be only one minimum. So that means if I can prove that my function is a convex function, okay, then we can say that whatever minima we get, okay, that will be the global minima, isn't it? Hello?
Yes, sir.
If we can prove that my function is convex in nature, okay, then whatever minimum we get, okay, that will be the global minimum. Similarly, we also have for maximization the concave function. What is concave function? If I have a function f of x I define it at 2 in the range x1 and x2. Let us say it is like this. Okay. If I take any 2 points, join them. If the line joining any 2 arbitrary points in this range, okay, it lies below the function. Such type of functions are called concave functions. Okay. So what will be the criteria for that? We can write alpha times f at alpha times x1 plus 1 minus alpha times x2 should be greater than alpha times f of x1 plus 1 minus alpha times f of x2. Isn't it? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So such type of functions are called concave functions. So what will when we can say about d square f by dx square for such type of functions?
Negative.
It will be less than 0 because the slope will always be decreasing in the direction of x. Okay, so if I take 2 points here, so the slope here is is more than the slope here, so d square f by dx square is less than 0. Okay, so whatever maximum now you get for such type of functions, so what will be that? So how many minimas maximas can have this function can have?
One.
There will be only one. Okay, so whatever maxima you get, so that will be the local sorry, the global maxima. That means the local maxima is itself a global maximum. So now what can how can we enumerate what all we have done? So what is the necessary condition for minima or maxima? Okay, what is the hello?
First derivative is 0.
The first derivative should be 0. That means df by dx should be 0. If dx by dx is equals to 0, so that point is called what we call it as the stationary point. Okay, stationary point. Okay, so this is only the necessary condition. In addition to this, we should have the sufficient conditions. Okay, what are the sufficient conditions? Sufficient condition is that if d square f by dx square is less than 0, then you will have, what will you have? Local maxima. If d square f by dx square is greater than 0, you will have local minima. Further, if the function is convex, if I can prove that my function is convex, okay, then what can we have? Hello.
Minima.
What minima?
Global.
So local minima itself will be a global minima. Okay. So we will have global minima. If the function is concave, then we will have global
Maximum.
maximum. Okay. This is how, suppose if d square f by dx square becomes 0 at that point, what should we do?
Point of contraflexion.
So you have to still prove further. That means you have to go for d cube by d cube f by dx cube is equals to 0. Okay. So if this is 0, then it's a stationary point. Then go for d4 by dx power 4. If it is less than 0, you will have local maxima. Otherwise, you will have local minima if it is greater than. So you have to go on doing it. Okay. So this is how we can find out the local minima and local maxima and global maxima for a function of one variable, which I think all these things you would have done in your intermediate studies. Okay, so now let us make it much more complex. Okay, so let us, now I have a function with more than one variable, function with n variables. That means my f is a function of x, where x is a vector of x1, x2, x3, xn. So how can we find out now what is the necessary condition?
Partial derivative with all respect to all the variables should be 0.
Exactly. Okay, so now, because now it's a function of more than one variable, okay, so the necessary condition will be that dou f by dou x1 is equals to 0, dou f by dou x2 is equals to 0, and so on. So dou f by dou xn is equals to 0. Okay, so if all this becomes 0, so basically we will be getting the what we call it as the stationary point. That means, what is a stationary point? Stationary point is one at which you can have either local minima or local maxima. Only it satisfy only the necessary condition. Okay, it doesn't uh, it is not sufficient for us to tell whether in with clarity whether it is a local minima or local maxima. Okay, so then how do we go about now finding out whether it is a local minima or local maxima? In the similar way what we did for uh, the single variable, so what should we do? How many of you have done any course on linear algebra? Did you do? Hello? Did any one of you do linear algebra? Yes or no? क्यों आप लोग कुछ भी बोल नहीं रहे आजकल? किया है नहीं किया ये तो बोल सकते हैं ना? Hello. Okay, now let us see how do now we find out the second derivative. Looks like many people have logged in and they have left. Absolute silence. Kumar Sagar.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, have you done linear algebra or no? I will ask one by one.
Yes, sir. I done, but I
Oh.
forget it.
You have forgotten. Very good. What about Dhruv Singh Rawat? Hi, nahi. Only Apan Jain is responding. Tripathi,
Yes, sir.
how is Varanasi, Tripathi?
Sir, same, sir.
सेम ओके इसके लिए तो जवाब आ रहा है जब मैं क्वेश्चन पूछागा तो कुछ नहीं आ रहा है प्रिंसी यादव हेलो you have just turned on the you have logged in and just that's it gone Itisha Jain
Yes, sir.
tell me have you done linear algebra
Yes, sir.
tell me how can now go about this
So actually, I missed the class. I just joined 5 minutes before. So
yeah, I'm asking you even if I have just asked a question just 2 minutes back
okay, sir. Can you repeat the question?
I know the necessary condition for local minima or local maxima is the first derivative with respect to each of the variable is 0. What will be the sufficient condition?
For it to be a local minimum or maximum,
Yes.
the second derivative should be positive or negative.
Okay. So how many second and second derivatives will be there in this case?
N.
If first of all, is it a vector or is it a scalar or is it a matrix? The second derivative. In case of one variable, it is a scalar. The first derivative and the second derivative. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If you now you come to the function with more than one variable, your function f of x, is it a scalar or is it a vector? First of all, let us start from that.
Scalar.
It's a scalar. What about the first derivative? Is it a scalar or is it a vector?
I guess scalar.
Scalar. How many first derivatives are there here?
N.
So
Okay, vector.
it's a vector of, that means I have a vector which is dou f by dou x1, dou f by dou x2. Like this, I have it doesn't have a single value, it is a vector. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this should be equal to 0. That means each of them should be equal to 0. So now this is my, what is that? Necessary condition. What is the sufficient condition now? So if they are 0, I can say it will have either local minima or local maxima. But I want to pinpoint that it is a local minima. What should I do?
The second derivative should be.
Okay, so how many second derivatives will be there? It is my question.
N only.
Only n. Anybody?
N squared.
Sir, n square.
There will be n square. There will be n square second derivatives. What are all those things? Please tell me.
Derivative of all the first derivatives with
So,
all the variables
Derivative of all first derivatives.
with respect to each variable.
So if I have f of x, okay, so I have the first derivative is dou f by dou x1, dou f by dou x2, dou f by dou xn. This is an n by 1 vector. If I have n variables, I will have n elements in this. Okay. So what about the second derivative? So usually this second derivative we call it as Hisian matrix and we denote it by H. Okay. This is Hisian matrix. Okay. Hisian matrix. So what will be the composition of this Hisian matrix? I have to differentiate this function. This will be like this: dou square f by dou x1 square, dou x square f by dou x1 dou x2, dou square x f by dou x1 dou x3, so on, dou square f by dou x1 dou xn. Then here dou square x2 by f by, what will be this? Hello?
del x2 square.
Dou x2 dou x1, then dou square f by dou x2 square and so on, dou x2 dou xn. Okay, like this. I will have dou square f by dou xn dou x1, isn't it? These many second derivatives will be there. So basically it doesn't have it is basically a matrix. What will be this matrix size? Hello?
N cross n.
N cross n, n by n matrix, isn't it? Okay, so basically a second derivative h. Okay, so because this is a matrix, okay, in case of single variables it was a scalar, we would be knowing that, okay, if it is negative it will have a maximum, it will, if it is positive it will have a, but how can we say by seeing the structure of this is a matrix whether we will be having a local minima or local maxima? Does anybody have any idea? Megul Tyagi?
Sir, I'm not sure, but I guess we'll find the value of this matrix, and if that is positive, then maybe we can comment on that.
What? How can you find the value of a matrix?
So after differentiating it with respect to different variables, then I'll put the value of stationary point in this, and then we'll evaluate.
No, it's not correct. Okay. Class चल रहा है. Okay. So no, this is not the correct answer. Apan Jain.
Determinant.
What? So by taking determinant, what will you do?
So check the value.
What? So what value you will get?
The scalar value.
No. Actually, I think people may not be knowing. Okay, let me explain. Okay, so basically you cannot find the value of a matrix. Okay, so basically you will be having different values here. By knowing these values, it's so what we get. Let me give let us say I have only a function of two variables, okay, x1 and x2. Okay, if I plot the objective function f of x, let us say I get the contours, I plot it like this. Okay, so let us say this is where I am getting the minima. Okay, so how will be this contour shape? Okay, when at around this point, around this minima,
Bowl shaped.
it will be a bowl shaped, isn't it? It will be a bowl shape like this. Okay, I'm not able to plot it three-dimensionally. It will be a bowl. Okay, from wherever you walk, you come, from whichever direction you reach this point. Okay, so you will be getting the minimum only at that point. That means basically this is the point, whether you come from this side, whether you come from this side, whether you come from this thing. Okay, so basically whether I will be reaching this or this point from whichever direction, any arbitrary direction which you take, okay, it depends upon the nature of h, okay, in the neighborhood of this point. Okay, so if I know what is the nature of this matrix, the second derivative, the matrix Hessian matrix, basically Hessian matrix is the matrix which we get by computing the second derivatives and putting it in a matrix form. Okay, I think if somebody is interested in optimization, they should do a course on linear algebra, because many of these terminology becomes much easier if you do the a course on linear algebra. But it is very difficult now. It is beyond the scope of this course to go in detail of this. Okay, a matrix H is said to be positive definite. Okay, if for any arbitrary vector, any arbitrary non-zero vector. What is non-zero vector? Hello?
So whose magnitude or length is non-zero.
That means at least one element should be other than non-zero. Okay, then only you will have some magnitude. If all are zero, then you will have a zero vector, isn't it? Okay,
Yes, sir.
for any non-zero vector S, if S transpose H S is greater than 0. Let us say H is a n by n matrix, and this any arbitrary, this is an n by 1 vector, non-zero vector. What will be the value of this? Is this S transpose H into S, is this a scalar or is this a vector?
So scalar.
It will be a scalar because S transpose will be
1
1
by
cross n,
1.
and H will be
n cross n.
n cross n, and again this will be n cross 1, which itself will end up in 1 cross 1, which is nothing but a scalar, isn't it? If this value, if this condition gets satisfied for any arbitrary value of S, okay, if this is greater than 0, then H is called positive definite. The matrix H is positive definite. If S transpose H into S is less than 0, then it is called what? this H is negative definite. If H is S transpose H into S is greater than or equal to 0, then it is called semi-positive definite. H is semi-positive definite. And if S transpose H into S is less than or equal to 0, then it is semi-negative definite. Okay. If I can prove that if the Hessian matrix, what is Hessian matrix? Hello?
Second derivative.
It is the matrix formed by the second derivatives. Okay, dou square f by dou x1 square, dou square dou x1 x2, like this, which I wrote. Okay, if I can prove that if H is positive definite, then we can say that the function will be a convex function. Okay, it will have a local minima. Okay, sorry. It will have if this is semi-positive definite, you will have a local minima. If it is positive definite for all values of x, so then it will have a global minima. So what is the necessary condition now? The first, sorry, what is the necessary condition which we proved? Which we is dou f by dou x1, dou f by dou x2, dou f by dou xn is 0. That means the first derivative should be 0. Okay. The second, the sufficient condition is that the H, what is this H? Hessian matrix. Hessian matrix. Okay. If H is positive definite, इसको बंद कर दो. Okay, if it is positive definite, you will have local minima. Okay, if H is negative definite, then you will have local maxima. But now question is, how can we find out, how do we prove that H is either positive definite or negative definite? That we will take in the next class. Okay.
So for then what will it be for semi-positive definite?
The semi-positive definite means it will have that may be a local minimum. If it is totally positive definite for all values of x, you will have the global. That means basically this function is convex function, strictly convex function, which we just discussed in case of single variable. What is that in single variable? The line joining any two arbitrary points, okay, will be
Greater
above the function.
Yeah.
Here it will not be a line, it will be a surface. Okay, it will, the surface which is connecting all these n arbitrary points, no, because this is an n dimensional space, no. Okay.
Yes.
So you will have that surface. Okay, if that surface is above the function, okay, then it will be a convex function. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
So if it is the other way, that means if the surface which is connecting this and any arbitrary n points in this n-dimensional space is below the function, okay, then it will be a concave function. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how do we prove it, whether it is a concave or whether it is positive definite or negative definite? We will see in the next class. Okay. So maybe this week I will be out of station. Okay. So I'm going somewhere. So we will be meeting only next Monday. Okay. Hello.
Okay, sir.
So, but I need some extra classes because I have already lost 2 classes. One class in the 2 classes last week, and I'm missing 2 here. So another 2 or 3 extra lectures I need. Okay. So once I come back, we will fix up some time. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.